Hey, Jim, let me ask you about this. A popular story, a lot of people are sending it over. It's mainstream news. Have you seen The Rock?
Yes. What in the? We have pretty much solved the riddle of whether he's going to wrestle anytime soon, which that would be no. He's lost 50 pounds. Didn't we see him just a few months ago? He looked normal. Or how?
What's normal?
How long's it been? Well, normal
Does he look
for
normal
him.
now, or does he look normal 6 months ago?
No, okay. Normal for The Rock would be big and jacked up and muscular, and normal for a normal person would be not. But now he looks like a normal person instead of the normal Rock. So what happened here?
Well, again, he's in the smashing machine. Got a standing ovation, which caused him to cry. I believe I saw Tom Cruise got a standing ovation for like Mission Impossible not too long ago. So,
But he was standing on a couch.
show up, you'll get a standing ovation.
But that's again.
He probably
was
lost it
just-
for a role. He's now all about trying to prove that he could act, not that he's just a big steroid freak doing action movies that have a diminishing audience. So,
But he was just the smashing machine, and now he's the goddamn Slim Whitman. I don't know who he is. He's very, very thin, very small.
well, if you remember how thin he got when he first went to Hollywood, like in 2003, 2004, he got very, very slim. And for a while, that was kind of his look in Hollywood. And then he realized that the bulked up look was the one that made him money, and he went with that. Now it's going the other way. That doesn't really work as well. And the Black Adam thing, I mean, I don't think you could really, minimize the damage that did to his career and his psyche. That thing bombed so publicly. Not just the movie, but just everything they were trying to do to DC. So I think now,
Well, that maybe that's what it is. The worry he's got an ulcer. Maybe that's what he's losing weight. Either that or he's got some kind of flesh-eating bacteria.
or he's off the sauce.
Maybe it's just the worry.
You think he's off the sauce? You think he's off the sauce? The steroids,
What the
gas.
tequila or the gas, the juice, the steroids, the candy? Well, if he's taking them, I don't know why the fuck he would be, because isn't that the goddamn opposite of what you would take them for? Let me take some steroids to get smaller. Does anybody do that?
It's good for Gewurz and whoever, carries his piss.
What,
Because
steroids?
Well, no, I got to think the less shit he takes, the less piss. Like throughout the day, that like unhealthy, like, hey, I'm taking all sorts of supplements. I'm pissing all over the place.
He's not swigging the steroids out of a goddamn Gatorade bottle. The steroids ain't going to make you piss. And supplements are like the fucking protein bars and the energy drinks and the like. That doesn't make you piss any.
Or whatever horse hormone he's on that got him to look the way he's looked for the last decade. As unnaturally big as anyone I've ever seen in my life.
I'm telling you, it's the genes because out in the Pacific Island, they didn't have pollution until about 30 years ago. So all those folks have better genes.
All right. Well, are you interested in seeing Smashing Machine? Getting good reviews coming out of the Cannes Film Festival or Cannes?
Coming out of the can? Get good reviews coming out of the can because he washed his hands. No, I'm morbidly curious because remember when we first saw the makeup and we did a report on that, and some people were panning the movie from seeing the trailer that they had put out at that time, saying that it's like the movie's kind of like a parody, but The Rock was playing it straight. What do you think? They got everybody else in the movie to parody things just so that Rock would look like the actor by default, or what? How do you get a 15-minute standing ovation for anything? How do you get some people to stand up for 15 minutes?
Well, again, it's not an uncommon thing at these film festivals. We'll see what happens once it gets to the States and how they market.
Here's the thing. After you got to about 7 minutes and 45 seconds, even if you were the person they were applauding, wouldn't you start screaming, can you sit down and shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. Do you know how long that would be to just stand there? Yeah.
The only way it works is if they literally pick you up and carry you on their shoulders, like walking down the street and people are just walking along clapping and cheering. Not if like you're just standing on the steps looking at everyone and they keep clapping.
Exactly. And they outlawed that because they kept having heart attacks. You can't carry people down the street anymore while you're clapping and cheering. Did you know that? It's against the statutes.
What did you think about the fact that it became mainstream news that The Rock, even before, the standing ovation and anything else, the fact that he showed up looking the way he did, there were people that thought he looked sickly. There were people that, right away everyone's like, what happened to The Rock? What's different about The Rock? What do you think about the fact that that became news?
Because I don't think anything of it, because anytime that there's some type of startling visual, either somebody looks remarkably different, either to the positive or the negative that they used to, that people remark on it. But what I'm trying to figure is, how the fuck did he do that? Again, I don't remember when the last time we saw him on television was. I know obviously Unreal was recorded last spring.
Yeah, it was February, right? We saw him in February, I think.
Well, that Netflix was January, and so
Elimination
January,
Chamber
February
was the last time we saw him, right?
Okay, but goddamn, it's not like he was a fat sloppy fuck and he could just put the donut down and start working out and lose weight, because he had muscle to begin with. How do you go and work out to lose muscle? And how can you diet that many pounds off when it wasn't fat to begin with in that amount of time? That's what I am most stunned about. But back in my day, when I was built like that, when I was younger, it was easy for me. But I got an inhuman constitution.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with The Rock. We'll see if he does show up. It'd be weird if the final boss, the man who he declared himself as the greatest heel of all time, if he showed up looking slimmer. It changes the conversation. He's not imposing anymore. That was one of the things. The Rock, even in his prime, he was never imposing. Even though he's naturally a big guy, he became an imposing figure. If he shows up half the size, he ain't going to look like an imposing figure anymore.
He's going to be a mere pebble.
He's on the Nikita Koloff diet.
Oh, you know what? That did take away Nikita Koloff.
Unfortunately, yeah.
When he lost that weight.
Yeah.
I mean, his whole... And think about it, that's another guy that Dusty took, just on a sideline here, that Dusty took from nobody'd ever heard of him. He'd not been in wrestling, to making him a major NWA world title contender that drew 27,000 people, whatever it was, in Charlotte at Stadium with Flair in like a year, maybe a year and a half. And that was remarkable, but it was his look. And once that he wasn't, God, I don't know what he was when he was his biggest, 300 pounds and just jacked. And he went to like 240 and looking healthy. People are like, eh. And the hair.
Well, we'll see what happens with The Rock, Jim. And of course, we're talking about projections into the future. What will happen with the Smashing Machine? What will happen with The Rock's waistline? We really don't know, but a lot of you may have thoughts on it. You may have thoughts on, again, these long projections, and maybe you have some projections, some thoughts on football. And of course, we know a place where you can go and maybe make some money with these thoughts and projections. Jim, our friends at Prize Picks.
I know a place where you could go quickly and stay there. But our friends at Prize Picks will basically what you're going to want to do, folks. You're going to want to do this because it's going to make you, it's like being a Nielsen family. You're going to get cash rewards from this if you make the right decisions. Because being right on a decision can get you paid over at Prize Picks. And don't miss any of the excitement, because football is coming up. They're playing, I understand they're going to play football almost every week this winter, because apparently it's become more and more popular than ever. And here is what you need to do if you're a fan of the football. All you got to do, because Prize Picks makes it simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6, not less than 2, not more than 6. That's 2 to 6. player stat projections. Brian, you know just as well as I do what a stat projection is. That means a projection of statistics. You are going to decide how many times they do this or how many times they do that. And sometimes how many times they do the other thing. And then if they do it more or less than the times of those things, well, then you're going to get paid. It's as easy as wearing a Nielsen monitor or an ankle. Sometimes you'll wear an ankle bracelet. Prize Picks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. We do not know what the stragglers are, but fie upon them. And Prize Picks puts the users first, Brian. So when you get your money, the withdrawals, they're fast, they're safe, they're secure. They've got Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, brown paper bag behind the Home Depot next to the dumpster. Any kind of way you want to transact business for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. And, Brian, the most amazing thing, you've heard about this, the injury reboot. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks will not count it as a loss. So before, let's say a guy got run over and his spinal column was fractured and he was paralyzed and doomed to be a vegetable for the rest of his life, sucking out of a straw with a motorized sucker. And that would happen in any time in the game. Whoa. Well, you just feel horrible. Whereas now, as long as it doesn't happen in the second half, you know, you don't have to feel bad because they won't count it against you.
Again, this may not be the best example, but for those of you out there into your daily fantasy, into your sports.
Yes, for those of you who have fantasies every day, see me. As a matter of fact, give me a call.
What we're saying, Jim, is we have a great deal for the listeners and Prize Picks.
Yes, a great deal right now. You can, and here's what you're going to have to download an app, folks. You're going to download the Prize Picks app today and use the code JCE. You're going to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. So that's 10 to 1. You get 10 times what you put into it. Wouldn't you like, Brian, in life to get 10 times out of everything what you put into it? And Prize Picks is guaranteeing you that right here.
Sounds like a deal, Jim. Once again, how can the listeners get this great deal?
Download the Prize Picks app and then pick it up and put $5 in it, and they're going to give you $50 in lineups with the promo code JCE.
That's right. Prize Picks, promo code JCE.